like I said, in order for your snare to crack, you need to have a nice and tight bottom, really tight bottom snare. So you really can't get it too tight on the bottom. You could keep on going. I'm not gonna like go to the point where it's making lots of cracking noises, but if it was a brand new bottom or resonant head, you're gonna hear this thing making cracking noises to do that. And then there's something floating around in there. We're just gonna let that be.
I think so.
Oh, that was a moon gel. Okay, so now on the top, once we've done that, we just need to tighten up the snares so that they're engaged. And we could start there. They don't have to be super tight, because once again, if you get them really tight, then it's gonna choke that sound on the bottom. So there's just kind of this dance that happens between these snares and the bottom head. But if the bottom head is loose, then you're not gonna hear like that sound you hear right there where they're vibrating. So that's a good sign. But if you tighten them up too much, it's gonna really shorten that buzz that you hear, which sometimes you might want it to buzz a little bit when you play the snare. So the bottom is key. And then from there, you can tune the top really high or low, depending on the tone you're trying to get. But this guy here, I'm just gonna check, like that one's very loose. So my bet is that this has been set up this way, and the person who's playing it is just doing rim shots every time, and it's loosening this up, and then as it loosens it, the snare stops bouncing back, and you start denting the head. So you gotta save your rim shots for when you want there to be impact. Save it for those high moments, you know, maybe for a break or something. But if you're constantly doing rim shots, well then also how do you build upon that? Like what's the next level when you're doing rim shots? It's just a double rim shot. Oh, that one's really loose there too. So when you're tuning, in case you guys haven't done it before, you do them in pairs. So you're gonna start like in one spot, then you go over here, then you go to here, and you just move your way around. There's plenty of YouTube videos. When I started playing drums, YouTube was not a thing, and I wish that I had discovered it. I wish it was around.
I do it like that, but kind of different. I do it more of like a star plan. So like I go to the top to the bottom, and then I go to the one next to the top.
Yep, but that's fine. Yeah, you want to get the ones like across from each other to be similar. But once again, if you're beating like the rim a lot, it's going to go out of tune during the first song. So you might want to get good at just doing a good quick tune to get it close. Let's see where we're at. Sounds a little bit better. And we could bring it up a lot higher just by tightening this further, or we could bring that tone down by loosening them up. But remember, if you're doing that and you're doing that whole beat the tar out of it, you're gonna dent it, and all bets are off at that point. So that is tuning a snare in a nutshell, and it would be similar on your toms. What I try to do is when I sit down at the drum set, like tap the bottom of the tom. Now you're not going to tune your toms every time you play. You may have to tune up the tops, but you shouldn't have to mess with the bottoms. But it's worth at least tapping the bottom to see if it's very close to the tone of the top. And the thing I'm always going for when I'm tuning is to make sure that there is a sound of resonance. So if it doesn't resonate, like you hear, it's resonating, it's good. Let's see if one of these is not. I think this is going to, so I don't have an example. Resonates just fine. But you can tell like this bottom could be tuned up a bit here. We could go a bit higher. But you want to get those toms to the point where they resonate. And you're going to find when you sit down at a floor tom, it's very popular that lug that's most closest to you is going to be totally loose. And you could hand tighten it. And if you do that, then you hit that tom as it's loose, it's going to sound more like paper than it will a resonant sort of sound. So I always make sure that at that point then, I tune it to the point where as I'm tapping around, you will hear it all of a sudden start to resonate. And you know, at least that's the lowest point you want it to be at. And you bring it up, but at least get it to the point where it resonates. And then that top could match the bottom. Same sort of thing on the bottom. Make sure the bottom head resonates. But chances are it will when you sit down. The more common issue is going to be that the top is so loose that it's like whack, whack. And once again, that's where you're going to find damage on your toms. You'll, yeah, it's not good. And then it doesn't give those guys much to work with. So if you want your toms to sound nice and big as you're playing, they have to resonate. And then you have to hit them in the center. So that would be the tuning piece. Have you guys done any tuning yourselves?